be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People age 5 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilly. Snow tonight with a low of 5 above and wind chills around 10 below zero. Then sunny Saturday with a high of 15 and wind chills around 10 below. Gotcha Mama's Hot Barbecue offers the huge taste of selections like baby back ribs and pulled pork sandwiches out of a little place. Gotcha Mama's is located just a block west of I-35W off of West Diamond Lake Road in South Minneapolis. Visit their website at scotchamamas.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
Hey, Buju, Anin relatives. This is Ogimaa Ikwe standing in for Wakanja Hade today. Wakanja Hade is at the Native American Chamber of Commerce Gala in the Twin Cities tonight. So we're grateful to be here on air live on Civic Media Network. And we have a wonderful guest lined up for you tonight here. We have Minnesota State Senator Mary Kunesh, who is a descendant of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, and I believe the only Native American representative in the Minnesota Senate at this time. She's just returning from the National Caucus of Native American state legislatures. They had their annual meeting in Las Vegas, November 29th through December 1st. So she will bring some updates on that tonight. Really excited to hear about that. I'm just going to go right into the news, everybody, since I don't have Robert here today to talk to about it. But, in addition to the National Caucus of Native American State Legislators annual meeting, the Tribal Nations Summit at the White House, the 10th annual White House Tribal Nations Summit to be correct, and the first one that's been held in person since 2016 due to COVID-19 is wrapping up this week. And there's been a lot of really great promises and conversation that's been happening with Native people in regards to the Biden administration. Really excited to see that kind of work coming in. One of the really big ones that came out is that President Biden told tribal leaders in Washington that Spirit Mountain is going to be a sacred site. So the Spirit Mountain and the surrounding ridges and canyons, Biden said he was committed to protecting because that place is sacred and is a central part to the creation story of many of the tribes in that area. It's going to be designated as Avikweme or Avikwema National Monument, and it will be like a triangle shaped area from Arizona and the Colorado River to California and into the Mojave National Preserve as well. The area is mostly undeveloped, but it's really exciting to hear that Nevada's congressional delegation and conservationist members are really excited about that, and tribal members are as well. It's not official yet, but this is really good news. So Avikwema is called that by the Fort Mojave Indian tribe, and it is the tallest area. Spirit Mountain is the tallest area in the surrounding areas, and it is listed in the National Register of Historic Places, and it's currently overseen by the Bureau of Land Management and the National Park Services. And there's been a coalition of tribes and conservation groups who have for many years talked about widening the protections for that area, including a place called Walking Box Ranch and a Spanish colonial revival house that once belonged to some 1920s actors, which is a really interesting fact. And there's been a proposal by a Sweden-based company to build a wind energy farm in that area, and that was slow-tracked last year by the U.S. Bureau of Land Management ahead of this announcement by Biden at the Tribal Leaders Summit in Washington. So that's very exciting, and Chimigwich to AP News Associated Press for this wonderful information on that. A little bit more depressing news, though. Indian Country Today just put out an article or blurb about the pay gap, the wage gap for Native women, is the headline for today on Indian Country Today, and it's 50 cents per $1. The average Native woman makes 50 cents for every dollar paid to a white man. The wage gap results in about $2,400 a month and more than $28,000 a year that working Native women lose. And according to data from the National Women's Law Center, a Native woman starting a career today would lose about $1.1 million over the course of a 40-year career. November 30th was Native Women's Equal Pay Day, and that is a huge wage gap that Native women are facing. So if you are a Native woman and you feel like you're struggling, that you're maybe just not able to get that type of pay, you're not losing your mind. It's not you. You're definitely worth every penny. But there is that pay gap. So earning only 51 cents per dollar as compared to a white man or white men in general is a really systemic inequality that often really goes unnoticed. We're trained in this country to not talk about our pay. And that is one of those things that just kind of slips on under the radar, in addition to a lot of kind of quiet mental work that women do for their homes, and kind of this sort of invisible labor. So if you're a Native woman like myself and you're listening, my prayers are with you, and we need to band together and work on this pay gap thing. This is a problem, and I knew that it existed, but I did not know exactly how bad it is. So Chimigwich to, again, Indian Country Today, and to the National Women's Law Center for that information. We can't take action if we don't know what's happening. So we can take action on that. There's been some more information that's been coming up here in the Winnemucca Indian Colony dispute. Land protectors stepped in earlier this year in northern Nevada. And there's the Winnemucca Indian Colony, which is a group of, it's an encampment, a group of trailer homes, tents, and other types of dwellings where many elders from the Winnemucca tribe and Indian colony reside. Unfortunately, the leadership of that tribe has been disenrolling those people in order to make way for the eviction that they said. They're working on destroying that campsite in order to kind of clean up the area. And it's about a 20-acre settlement, and there's a few dozen people there, mostly elders who live just outside of Winnemucca, Nevada. And this has been a really long fight, and it's involved the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Tribal Council, and colony residents. And basically, it comes down to disagreements over who is a valid member of the council and thus has authority over the land. And it's a parcel that was given by then President Woodrow Wilson to grant the 320-acre parcel to Paiute and Shoshone Native Americans. And then it's just been this ongoing legal battle. The demolitions and disposals of their homes began in spring, and they were funded by grants from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And the colony leaders are trying to spur economic growth and clean up the area, but the residents that are there really have decided that they want to stay there. That is where their home is, and they don't want to be moved. So land protectors from up here in Minnesota and other places had gone down to Nevada for that earlier this year. And as we find out more information on that, we will keep you updated. Also, in the years-long fight against Line 3, we are now needing to ask people for help to continue protecting water and treaty rights and a healthy climate. Head on over to the sierraclub.org and go under their action tab and demand that federal agencies hold Enbridge accountable for Line 3 destruction. Enbridge, the Canadian pipeline company, broke the law and harmed natural resources during Line 3 construction in northern Minnesota, violated state law, and caused serious damage to surrounding wetlands and water bodies. And the Minnesota DNR has only acknowledged 3 places where there were pierced aquifers and causing serious damage. But we do know from Wadukawad Amiquag that is more. So head on over to sierraclub.org and make sure you sign that. And we are excited to have Minnesota Senator Mary Kunesh up next, and we are looking forward to hearing her recap of the National Caucus of Native American State Legislators. This portion of the show was brought to you by MN350, and we will be right back on Native Roots Radio.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, ripping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Health insurance that fits my budget? I'm covered. I needed health coverage I could count on and afford. MNsure helped me find a plan that works for me, and they helped me save money. Did you know that most Minnesotans qualify for savings through MNsure? And they have free experts who can help you sign up for coverage. Go to mnsure.org today and get started and get covered. That's mnsure.org. mnsure.org.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, Buju relatives. This is Ogimaa Ikwe hosting Native Roots Radio tonight in place of Wakanja Hade, Robert Pilot, who is out at the gala for the Native American the Native American Chamber of Commerce in the Twin Cities tonight. So excited for him to be there and rubbing elbows with all of the Native businesses and organizations who are going to be there tonight. But also really excited and grateful that we have Senator Mary Kunesh joining with us tonight. Senator Mary Kunesh is going to be talking about her trip to the National Caucus of Native American State Legislators annual meeting. So she would have just gotten back, I think, yesterday. It looks like it wrapped up December 1st. Welcome back to the motherland, Senator Kunesh.
Well, on Happy Wash Day, everybody. Good evening. Senator Kunesh from Minnesota here. And it was a really, really inspiring conference that we all attended in Las Vegas. I haven't been to Las Vegas since I was underage, actually. And so it was just a really great gathering of legislators from across the United States, Native American ones. But this time it was the first ever quad gathering. So we had the Black legislators, we had the Asian Americans and the Latinx. All four of us were gathered in the same place in Las Vegas, and really enjoyed getting together and talking about issues that are important to us and how we have some of those common, a lot of common issues and how we're focusing on them. But we had just a wonderful time. It's the National Caucus of Native American State Legislators, and our theme for this year was moving forward through healing. And so we came together to exchange and learn and build policy and resolutions that are going to improve our state and tribal relationships and improve, what goes on in our communities, whether it's on reservation, urban, wherever it may be. So we talked a lot about issues that all communities are dealing with, especially around the impact of COVID on mental health. And we had a great discussion with the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Disability and Employment Policy, because we have high levels of our Native folks that, for one reason or another, and not just with mental health issues, but have disability issues. We have those high rates of diabetes and heart disease and some of the other things that really affect us. So yes, it was just, it was very nice. We had a really good food and good sponsorship and good community. There's a lot of networking going on. We talked about energy needs in Indian country. The elections was another big discussion. Native Americans have the lowest level of elected representation in the United States. And I looked at the Black Legislative Caucus that was there. They had over 450 attendance. I think we had less than 30. So that tells you right there how behind the times we are when it comes to Native Americans stepping up to run for office. And hopefully, in the next 2 years, we will be building up more and more opportunities for folks to step into positions that they're going to run for office. But we had a really good speaker, Jordan James Harwell. He's the National Program Director from Advanced Native Political Leadership. And the support systems that they have developed for Native leadership is really, really astounding. I would really suggest that if you are, or you know somebody that's thinking about running, look up Advanced Native Political Leadership and see the kind of work that they are doing. Jordan was extremely inspirational, and I know that they have gotten behind a number of candidates, helping them get elected and also to work on getting out the vote. It was great. We had a bunch of our brothers and sisters from Hawaii, and the discussion about what their challenges are, especially when it comes to land access and the ability to build housing that is going to support them it's very unique in Hawaii, of course, because they became a state in 1958 or 9, I think, in the 50s. And
After their tribal leader was overthrown, she was still in control, and she was overthrown by a government coup.
So they have land grants money to for housing and buying these and developing these houses, but there's all kinds of problems in accessing those dollars and then being able to build them, and then who gets to live in them, and because I think they start out with a temporary lease, and then it goes for 100 years, a lease for 100 years, and then it can be divided or inherited, handed down.
Wow.
It's very complicated, and I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but it is very complicated. And so we had a lot of discussion about issues that are going on in Hawaii, and just really enjoyed seeing and getting to know those folks. The digital divide in Indian country, we talked about violence prevention, and of course, we never can do any of this without talking about the MMIW and what's happening, how folks are addressing that in their own states. And we really did have a good discussion around the truth, reconciliation, and healing at the national and the state and the tribal level. That was around the boarding school healing coalition. And we will continue to do that. I know that the President of the United States has made efforts, but there are still a lot of work that needs to be done, especially in the religious organized boarding schools, where they signed a letter that they will work and support, this effort towards truth, reconciliation, and healing, but yet are not forthcoming with the documents when asked. The historic documents, and unfortunately, it means that they're going to have to be subpoenaed. And my question was, is anybody stepping up and voluntarily providing the information that's requested? And the answer is no. And so that makes me worried a little bit.
Those empty promises are really common, just with those types of they promise, they say they're committed to this, and then by the end of the day, it doesn't end up being that way. Their actions don't match their words, and that's always really frustrating. And having to take the legal route as a Native person, people want to paint Native people as the bad guy for having to take that route when they had promised that information to begin with. So that's really disappointing to hear, but I really hope that they're able to win that legal battle and take the effort to do that.
It would be, I think it would mean a lot more if they did that voluntarily, but of course those entities are concerned about any legal ramifications, and the threat of the pocketbook is always the one that really makes it the big issue. So we talked about Ikwe, of course. There's no getting around the threat against of removing ICWA, Indian Child Welfare Act, at the federal level. And I think we talked about this, but in Minnesota, we have this incredible program we call MIFPA, Minnesota Indian Family Preservation Act. And it's very similar to the ICWA law at the federal level, and goes a little bit further. But with the threat of ICWA going away, I and a number of other individuals and work groups have been going through legislation and looking at how Minnesota can shore up our MIFPA. And then I know there are a lot of other states that are looking to do the very same. So it's good to know that people are being proactive rather than reactive when it comes to this sort of thing.
Yes, and we did talk about that. And you brought a guest on, Laura Newton from the American Indian Center. She's the head of their family services department at the Minneapolis American Indian Center. And I had a chance to interview her for a different project. And she had talked about how it's really important that our relatives, if they want to do something, and ICWA and doing something to protect ICWA at this point is kind of out of everybody's hand. Well, it's with the Supreme Court. But something that you can do is to, if you have any interest at all, take the time to become a foster parent. If you're a Native person, we need more Native foster parents available to Native children that are currently experiencing separation from their families. And in Minnesota, we have those really high rates here, even with MIFPA. So I'm not sure what those rates look like in other states, but clearly this is a nationwide problem. And if you're a Native person, and even if you can't commit to fostering, you could commit to maybe it's called respite care. When another foster family needs a few days off from a child, that would be a good option too. So that is straight out of Laura Newton from the Minneapolis American Indian Center's mouth. Looks like we are coming to the end of this segment here, Mary. We can touch base a little bit more on this caucus group that you were at in Las Vegas over the week, earlier this week. And we'll touch base a little bit more on ICWA, I think, too, when you get back. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm Ogimaa Ikwe, hosting for Robert Pilot tonight, Wakanja Hade, and we will be right back after this message.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
This is Santita Jackson, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I couldn't be more excited about starting our days together, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. Central on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hi, my name is Pamela Topchian. I'm a former nurse, published author, and board-certified hypnotherapist with hypnobreakthrough.com. Do you feel stuck in a rut? Finding yourself wondering if this is all there is to life? Tired of just existing? Hypno Breakthrough can help you to reduce stress, release fears, gain confidence, and reach your life's goals holistically, mindfully, and gently. So I ask you, what changes would you like to see in your life? Let's talk about it. Contact me, Pamela Topchian, board certified hypnotherapist, to schedule your free consultation, which includes a complimentary stress-reducing sample session, so you can see how it feels for yourself before any commitments are made. Go to hypnobreakthrough.com for all the information. That's hypnobreakthrough.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilly. Snow tonight with a low of 5 above and wind chills around 10 below zero. Then sunny Saturday with a high of 15 and wind chills around 10 below. We have a new gift for our sustaining AM 950 members this year, the AM 950 poster, featuring pictures from Matt McNeil's National Parks Adventures. Head over to am950radio.com to see membership options and how to get a poster as a thank you gift for being a member of AM 950.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Ogimaa Ikwe standing in for Robert Pilot tonight here on Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. We're live on the Civic Media Network throughout Minnesota, Wisconsin, a little bit of Michigan, I think, Iowa, and a little bit of Illinois as well. I just wanted to let those who are in the Twin Cities area or maybe close nearby in Wisconsin that the Native American Community Development Institute and the All My Relations Art Gallery are very pleased to present She Who Lives on the Road to War, a live presentation and dance performance by Rosie Seema's Dance. It's at All My Relations Arts Gallery, but it's only happening until December 15th, and they have limited performances. So make sure you head on over to allmyrelationsarts.com and get your tickets to see She Who Lives on the Road to War before it goes out on December 15th before the holidays. And we're back here with Minnesota State Senator Mary Kunesh, who is discussing her recent trip to Las Vegas, although it doesn't sound like what it sounds like, right, Mary? You were there on official business. Oh, sorry, Mary, you were on mute.
Oopsie. Yes, I was there on official business. We had the Quad Legislators of Color Conference this past week. So we had the Black legislators, the Latinx legislators, the Asian legislators, and our American Indian legislators all meeting up for the very first time ever in one place and really reviewing the issues that are very unique to each one of our groups, but also so many of them are we have very much the same issues, and it was just good to be together and see folks that we haven't seen for a very, very long time due to the pandemic. But Ogimaa, have you talked about the election up in Canada and the election of Mary Peltola?
I do believe that I mentioned it just briefly on air earlier this week or late last week. Mary Peltola had initially been elected in a runoff race for like a temporary position after another legislator had suddenly either passed away or resigned. But in the official election that followed, she was voted in for, I believe, a 2-year term, right?
She was, and what was interesting about her election is that it was done through a process called ranked choice voting, and I don't know if folks are familiar with that, but it's really interesting because Mary Peltola is a Democrat, and she was running in traditionally a red state of Alaska, and the way that they chose their elected official this time is through a process called rank choice voting. And what it did is it allowed the voters to look at all of the candidates and rank them, their first choice, their second choice, their third and fourth, depending how many there are. And then when the votes are tabulated, the lowest one drops off, and then those are added to the whatever their second choice was, until eventually it sort of trickles down and works its way out. And then it works in all kinds of different elections, not just these big ones. But what was really interesting is that that the voters knew that when they chose their first one, if their first choice doesn't win, then their vote would automatically count for the next choice instead. And that really makes a difference, because it frees those voters up from worrying about how others are going to vote and which candidates are more likely to win. And
Yes.
those candidates can compete without fear of then splitting the vote like we've seen happen in the past. And so it was a pretty unique and kind of groundbreaking process. But we're just so lucky that Mary got in there along with Lisa Murkowski and the governor Mike Dunleavy. I think we had a lot of Alaskans at our conference, and they were very excited about this process and about the fact that they now have a Native in that position.
Yeah. So, how long has Alaska had ranked choice voting? Is that something that's new to Alaska?
It is new to Alaska, and we have a movement here in Minnesota to adopt that. There are folks that have concerns, especially in some of the higher level elections, but Bloomington, Minnetonka, St. Louis Park, St. Paul, Minneapolis, they all use ranked choice voting to elect their local leaders. So it works really well at that level. And so here in Minnesota, we already have nearly 1 million Minnesotans who are already using the system to elect candidates, and could easily be adopted. And so there will be some legislation here in Minnesota to adopt ranked choice voting statewide. And we will just have to wait and see what those conversations look like at the legislature.
Yeah. Are there any specific groups that you know of that are working on advancing this at the Minnesota legislature that we could reach out to or get involved with?
Yeah, there is a group called Fair Vote, and they
Okay.
are very well organized. They do really good lobbying, really good work, and it's really grassroots efforts to do this. So look up Fair Vote, and it's a national group. So it's not just Minnesota that's looking at this, but also other states around the US that are hoping to do that. And there's a number. Yeah, it's happening, and it's kind of, I think it might be a wave of its future.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense that you wonder why we haven't been doing it this way the whole time. You know? Like,
Yeah.
there's so many elections, like you were saying, Mary, where people are nervous to vote for the candidate that they may want to vote for. Maybe they want to vote for a third party candidate, but if they vote for a third party candidate in a two-party system, there's no ranked choice. There's no other option. So that vote doesn't, yes, it counts to that candidate, and yes, that vote counts, but it sometimes does not, it doesn't help the other party that they would otherwise align with, that may have more support. And that's where ranked choice voting can really come in handy here in Minnesota, that, okay, well, if my first option doesn't get elected, this would be my second choice. And it allows those votes almost to, instead of, not counting towards one or the other of the major parties, but also to, just to carry more weight, to say, these are the top 3, or these are the 3 in order, or the 5 in order, or however many candidates there may be. And I think that could be really a game changer for the United States democracy, as a whole.
Well, absolutely. And one thing also is they found that it lowers the barrier to entry for women and candidates of color, because oftentimes women or folks of color are intimidated, are told you're not ready, or wait your turn, sort of thing. But with ranked choice voting, it makes it easier for those women and candidates of color to run for office and win. And we experienced this in my Senate district when we had to go through the endorsement process, and it was really cool how it all played out. It made it very easy. With the ranked choice voting, those candidates are pressured to wait their turn. They're not perceived as spoilers. And the RCV elections found that voters of color were more likely to rank candidates. Those candidates, the folks of color, were more prone to ranking voters than white voters. And because it's been found that candidates of color are more likely to win those elections, especially in races during multiple candidates of color. And so people have to kind of learn to play nice with each other, because there's like second, third, first, second, and so it isn't just one takes all. It's a whole process of ranking your candidate, and it's really something that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're listening in and you're interested in ranked choice voting here in Minnesota or nationally, you can go to fairvotemn.org, or just go to the national site, which is just fairvote.org. That's FAIRVOTE.org. And you can figure out ways that you can get involved to advocate for this in the legislature in your state or at a national level. Really excited to hear that there's such a solid movement happening here in Minnesota, Senator Kunish. And we're just coming up on the last couple of minutes of the segment. And Miigwech, so much to you for being here. Do you have any last, something you want to say before we go to the last segment?
Well, winter is upon us. The roads are going to be slick and snowy. Let's everybody drive carefully and defensively. Be sure that you have safety items in your car, that in case you get stuck. But if you can, still get out and enjoy this beautiful weather, these beautiful winter days. Don't get yourself all holed up in the middle of winter, but get out there and enjoy the fresh air, get your exercise, and help somebody else if they need a little bit of shoveling done. So, Wopila talk, everybody. Take care.
Miigwech, thank you so much, Mary Kunish, State Senator Mary Kunish, for joining us tonight here on Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. Up next, we're actually going to listen to Wendy Pilot's Sacred Animal News from yesterday. She talked about the upcoming Wolf Day at the Minnesota Legislature. It's coming up, I believe, on February 7th of 2023, and it's really important, and it's something that you can start registering for now at bit.ly/wolfday 2023. So we'll have more on that in the next segment, and we'll be back on Monday with Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. Stay tuned for Wendy Pilot.
We are Calusa Nation.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal. Health insurance that fits my budget? I'm covered. I needed health coverage I could count on and afford. MNsure helped me find a plan that works for me, and they helped me save money. Did you know that most Minnesotans qualify for savings through MNsure? And they have free experts who can help you sign up for coverage. Go to mnsure.org today and get started and get covered. That's mnsure.org. mnsure.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
This is Leonard Peltier. I am in Coleman 1, U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Ooh, good one. Good one, everyone. We that's a staple of our show is Howling for Wolves. Wait, Howling for Wolves.
That's right.
Well, you know what I mean. Hey, I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years. And we speak since the year one, day one of Native Roots Radio. We talk about our sacred animals. So take it away, Wendy.
Hey, everybody. Hi. I'm happy to be here tonight. My name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level, and it's always my pleasure to do that. That's right. So Howling for Wolves has supported Native Roots Radio also from day one.
Yes.
Their awesome organization. Dr. Maureen Hackett is the founder and president of Howling for Wolves, and I'm really excited to talk about what they're doing on February 7th, and I'm going to ask people to save the date. So Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 is going to be Wolf Day at the Minnesota State Capitol, and I'm really excited to sign up. I already signed up to go there on February 7th. And what this event is we're going to be able to talk about the wolves, why it's important to save the wolves, why it's important to stop a wolf hunt, and everybody out there who lives in Minnesota can come to the Minnesota State Capitol, or you could sign up and do a virtual visit if you don't feel comfortable coming to the state capitol to talk to your senators and representatives about why you feel it's important to save our Minnesota wolves. And I'm really excited about it because I've done this in the past for Wolf Day and for Humane Lobby Day, which I do for the Humane Society of the United States every year. And it's a really fun and empowering day. where you meet people who are like-minded and you make new friends. And you're going to check in on February 7th after you sign up at 10 a.m. at the Minnesota State Capitol. They're going to have great guest speakers, including Dr. Maureen Hackett, who again is the founder of Howling for Wolves, an organization fighting to protect wolves for future generations. That's right. One of the guest speakers I'm excited to tell you about is Dr. Michael W. Fox. And he's been involved from the very beginning to protect wolves. And he's also a veterinarian. So he is very well versed and knows why it's important to save our wolves. Howling for Wolves also has the greatest little, I don't know, what do you call it? A logo. So it's the non-lethal, keep the pack intact. I love that. So listen, everybody, go on. We have the link to sign up for Wolf Day on our Facebook page. And right now, if you're listening and you're watching on Facebook Live, you could just find the information, or you could just Google Wolf Day at the Capitol, Howling for Wolves, and it pops right up, and you just have to click on the link, fill in your information. They're going to serve lunch, which is awesome, and you also get a Howling for Wolves t-shirt. And you could just say what size you want.
Extra large,
yeah,
please.
You pick the size you want, and go. And it's really awesome because you meet with your state senator. So I would meet with Erin Murphy, and I would go in either by myself or hopefully with a group of people. And here's the thing, when your representatives and senators see a group of people who care about the same thing coming in and talking about this, they know it's important. So when it comes across their desk, they're like, oh yeah, that's right, I had 20 people in my office talking about this, or oh, I had 10 phone calls about this, or oh, I had this amount of people show up in the rotunda at the state capitol. This is really important to my constituents, and this is something I need to look at and care about, because they can't know everything. Your state senators and representatives don't know what's important to you until you let them know. And also, I'm going to put this out for Maureen Hackett that I will be there on February 7th. And what I've done in the past for the Humane Lobby Day is to help people. Let's say it's one person going in to see their legislator or their senator. And sometimes it's really intimidating if you've never done this before, and it's kind of scary and people don't want to do it. I would volunteer and go with them to their appointment, and just be there to help them along and answer any questions that they have. So I would
Cool.
I would do that. No problem. For Wolf Day, again, Tuesday, February 7th, 2023. It starts at 10 o'clock. You check in, and then the day goes by and has lots of great stuff, lunch and speakers, and you'll meet with your senator and legislator.
Tuesday the 7th.
Tuesday the 7th. Yeah, put it in your calendar and mark the day. So I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited about another t-shirt. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jen.
I don't have that much time left, but I just wanted to give some like fun facts about wolves.
Hey.
Once a wolf has found a mate, they tend to stay together for better or worse. Robert, that's better than some people, right?
Yeah.
Through sickness and in health, often until death do them part. Of course, it's typical only the alpha male and female that breed. So that's normally what happens in a pack. So here's the thing. Let's say they have a trophy hunt, right? And the hunters go out and they kill the wolves indiscriminately. They don't know who the male and female alpha, ones that are the alpha and who only mate, right? So they kill the alpha male or the alpha female, and then that breaks up the pack. Not only, is the other animal sad because their mate is gone and dead, but now the other members of the pack will mate, and then you make more wolves, right?
Wow.
Exactly. So this is one of the reasons why it's important not to kill our wolves.
Right.
And you know what? Wolves will die for each other.
In addition to the trend toward monogamy, wolves develop such strong social bonds for their family and other loved ones, they have been known to sacrifice themselves for the survival of the pack and the family unit. That's more over Romeo and Juliet. Right?
Yeah.
And it's all about the howl, perhaps the most well-known characteristic of the gray wolf is its penetrating, hauntingly beautiful howl. And we try to mimic that every day when we introduce Howling for Wolves. This is primarily a communication tool both between lone wolves and their pack, as well as between packs. When it comes to territory, inter-pack howling will determine the size and strength of different packs, often determining whether or not the to attack or retreat. So they use that howl as an important communication tool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's
keep the pack intact. Everybody sign up Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 at the Minnesota State Capitol.
Yeah, excellent. And then get helped by Wendy going to see your
I'd be happy to
state
help
senator
you.
and representative.
Definitely.
She'll hold your hand and teach you the good way, because you've been doing this for years.
Yeah, I've been doing it quite a few years.
Wow.
And it's really fun.
It's exciting too, and I'll add a t-shirt to my collection. I appreciate that, Wendy.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for Robert Lilligren, Ogimaa, and our intern in the background doing all the background stuff. I really appreciate Ayana. We'll be back tomorrow. Stay with us.
Free Leonard Peltier.
Now.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at